My hands shaky, my brow sweaty, my body so sore. My mind scarred and damaged beyond repair. My clothes cling to my skin with damp embrace. Above me shined a lonely moon. Its light scattered and checkered the dirt beneath my feet. The trees all around were towering and frightening. The night was eternal, never-ending. The events that had just transpired were unspeakable and horrific. My brain couldn't quite process what my eyes witnessed. The beast, the creature that lurked in the shadows and in the back of my mind, would not leave me. It was with me now, a part of me. I could hear its deep and guttural voice in my head.
Taste it. Give it a good lick.
"Stop!" I shouted back at it.
Come on. Don't be that way.
Its voice was haunting me, stalking me, taunting me. I looked down at my hands and could see the blood, the dirt. I had to claw my way out of there. The monster was never going to let me go without a fight.
See, doesn't that make you hungry? Doesn't that get your appetite racing?
No. Why are you here? How? I could feel his laugh in my chest and in my head.
You don't understand it. I'm not going anywhere. Everything you've witnessed tonight, you were a part of. This is your life-defining moment, Charlie. Embrace it.
I picked myself up from the dirt and moved forward. My legs felt like jelly. I felt like I had just set a new record for the world's largest deadlift. Each step felt like I was trying to walk across a waterbed. But I kept pressing forward, not knowing where I was anymore, or where I was even going. The woods were dark but dimly lit from the moon. It was just enough light for me to see.
Where are you going, Charlie?
It asked me. I don't understand. This is not happening. How are you speaking to me? Where are you? It laughed at me again.
You are a bit fuzzy on the details, but deep down you know the truth. You know what happened back there. You saw it with your own 2 eyes. Believe it.
I could feel the beast breathing down the back of my neck, its movement in the pit of my stomach. It was skin deep. I must have walked for what seemed like an hour in almost complete silence with nothing but the beast's presence. I could see movement in the shadows all around me, never able to make out what it was, but my imagination was filling in the blanks. My mind was painting a picture that I immediately wanted to unsee. Deep, glowing green eyes, fangs as sharp as surgical instruments, its stature as big as a full-grown grizzly, only patches of hair in various random places. Its mane was long and dark. I could picture it staring into my eyes as I did the same. It grinned at me as I tried to divert my mind's eye, but it was impossible. There was no escape from this monstrosity.
Is that how you picture me?
It said, clawing at my brain. How does it know what I'm thinking? I cannot comprehend the idea of this thing being inside my head. What do you mean? I asked, trying to play dumb.
Do not play stupid with me, Charlie. I can see everything. I can hear everything you do. Say, hear, feel, even think. I know about it. All of it. I know what you're doing. I know what you're going to do before you do it. I know what you've done before now. I am every bit a part of you now, as the heart that's in your chest, beating and pumping that sweet nectar through your veins. Understand, Charlie?
It wasn't kidding. It was being completely honest with me. It was every bit of me. Perhaps it was me. Was it? No. But yes, that makes a lot of sense. I'm losing it. I'm speaking to some other part of me that's been dormant in my subconscious, waiting to come out.
No.
It laughed again. You're not something that's supernatural or otherworldly. You are merely something mental within me, a form of schizo or something like that, a new personality, a new person in my head that just wants control.
That's what you believe. I'm just some new person that formed in your brain. I got news for you, Charlie. You couldn't be more wrong.
I suddenly felt my head beginning to swim in a sea of dizziness. My legs gave way, and I felt my face collide with the dirt. I knew that I had collapsed, and all I could feel was my head drowning in pain, nausea, and confusion. My vision began to fade, the darkness consuming me.
Charlie, I'm going to help you see what happened, show you the events that led up to this moment. Then, we're going for a bite to eat.
I could feel my body moving in an orderly fashion. My gaze opened, and I was fixed on Tabitha, my sister's best friend. She grabbed my hand and led me into an opening in the cliffside down by the beach. The night sky was littered with stars, and the moon was at a full quarter. Tabitha's hand gripped mine so tightly as we entered the cave. As the environment went from open to enclosed, and only dim-lighted by store-bought battery-operated lanterns, she looked back at me with a wide grin. I can't believe this is happening. Our first senior year party. Your sister got the location of the party from one of the jocks, Tate, I believe it was. My heart was beating so hard. It felt like maybe there was a xenomorph about to rip through me. Tabitha was holding my hand. Her auburn-colored hair, with her hazel eyes and beautiful smile, were mesmerizing to see. Her way of carrying herself around was so bright. She wasn't the popular cheerleader or the eccentric babe that every guy in school wanted to show a good time. She was normal, but in the best of ways. She was very artistic and very good at painting and sketching. She was wearing a white, fully buttoned-up shirt with paint stains all over it, red, green, and yellow, and on top of that was a dark hoodie. She was wearing the same pair of jeans that she always wore when she goes out to whatever event she was going, no matter what it was. She was definitely a tomboy. And I think that's what made her so interesting to me. Her attitude on life and everything was a positive one. And she was always wanting to have a good time, never souring the moment. Just always positive. She would be considered rough around the edges by most girls in our school, or even completely different, but not to me. We shared similar interests, too many to name right off the bat, but she was the one. No other girl could match Tabitha. Tonight's the night I'd make my move for sure. I know it. After years of waiting. And after what felt like hours of just following her through the caverns, we finally arrived to the big senior bash. There were so many people in attendance, it was safe to assume the whole school may have been there, minus the teachers, obviously, and some of the introverts. Music was blaring loudly, sounding like something straight out of the 80s era, mixed with dubstep. A great era in music, I will add. "I think I see Carly," Tabitha shouted to me. Carly was my sister, my twin to be more exact. She released her grip on me and rushed over to Carly. Best friends they were ever since the 3rd grade, when Tabitha moved here from New York. I stumbled through the crowd as best I could, eventually reaching them. "Hey, little bro." She was only older than me by 6 minutes. "How was the drive?" Tabitha explained in one simple word. "Boring." I had hoped that wasn't on my part. "How did you get here? Your car is at the auto shop." I could tell Carly wanted to dodge the question by simply seeing her face go straight blush and into embarrassment. And because we're twins. And because of this, I had a bad feeling about her answer. "She came with Tate," Tabitha answered for her. My stomach felt uneasy at that answer. "Really?" was all I could muster without wanting to vomit. "Yes, Charlie, Tate brought me. What's wrong with that?" She went on the defensive. "You know Tate and I hate one another. You know this." I could feel myself getting pretty angry. A bass was in my voice that wasn't there before. I walked away before Carly could speak another word. I made my way through the crowd as the music blared and they danced to its beat. Carly knew Tate and I couldn't stand one another ever since the incident during our freshman year. I crossed the crowd finally and into a smaller cavern that led away from the party. I grabbed a lantern and continued into the cave without a second thought. Then I felt a hand on my shoulder. I turned just so slightly to see Tabitha. "Come on, let's go cool off real quick. I know you're pissed," she said. We continued on for a few minutes until the music fell soft on our ears and was nothing but an echo. There was a single ray of light that was shone through from above us, where the night sky had crept into the cave. Tabitha and I sat for a moment against the stone wall directly in the light's aura. "You want to talk about it?" she asked. "No, not really," I chuckled at her. "I mean, you already know the story. The story between the 3 of us, I mean, Tate, Carly, and myself. So it isn't really worth talking about." She agreed with a nod. "Yeah." She put an arm around me. "It's gonna be alright, though. You still have me, Charlie." I could feel her sincerity. She was the one, for sure. She was the one for me. I knew it deep in my bones. So I mustered it up. I looked at her. "Tab, can I tell you something without you getting uncomfortable?" "Of course," she said with a smile. I could feel my heart beating harder than it ever had before. I knew what I wanted to say, but the words were caught in my throat. It took me a moment to gather myself, a moment that felt eternal. But I was able to do it. I gripped my leg tightly, and as the words began to leave my mouth, "I think you should know that I've had this pretty big crush on you." I then loosened my grip. She pulled her arm from me and looked down towards our feet. She smiled ever so slightly, so small of a smile, but still yet a smile. My heart was still beating pretty hard and fast. She glanced at me, and then back to her feet. I kinda had the feeling, I knew, actually, she let loose. "How?" I asked her. "Your sister, mostly. Then there were times throughout this past semester that you made it apparent, at the least, constantly sharing your notes with me and always telling me to keep up the hard work on my after-school projects, even offering to lend a hand. At first, though, I thought it was just you trying to be a friend, but I thought about it for a little while, and eventually I asked your sister. She immediately came clean about it. Well, I hope you know that I was sincere when I said the things that I said and did the things that I did, and most importantly, I was trying to be a good friend. I wasn't pretending to be interested. I really am interested in you. I mean, I really do like you, Tab. And now you know, honestly, I do want to be more than friends. You're just a very good person, and you're not just pretty. You're smart, you're funny, you're creative. You may have faults that I don't know about, but to me, you're perfect the way that you are. Hell, you're the only girl to ever play Dungeons and Dragons with me and my friends. You seem to enjoy yourself. I laughed. My heart started to slow down. Getting all of this out in the open was actually helping me ease up a bit. She laughed. Yeah, it was fun, and I did enjoy myself. She grabbed my hand again, and this time it was gentle. I've known for almost 3 months about this crush you have. And when your sister told me, honestly, I was overwhelmed because I didn't know you had this crush for so long. It must have been hard for you when Tommy Rodriguez asked me out all those times. But knowing for as long as I have now, I'm actually glad you told me. Because during those 3 months, I've actually started to see you a bit differently. I could feel her body moving in closer. My heart began to speed up a little bit more again. Charlie, I like you too, and she paused. I looked at her, and she was still refusing to look at me. She was feeling much like how I felt just seconds ago. I wrapped my other arm around her and started to feel tears well up in my own eyes. For so long I felt this way, scared of how she would react to my feelings about her, so scared of rejection. She wrapped her arms around me and placed her head on my shoulder. A minute of full embrace such as the one we were in was the single greatest feeling I had ever felt in my life. The moment was peaceful. It was so serene, and I could have just lived in it forever.
But you didn't, did you, Charlie?
She lifted her head from my shoulder and looked me in the eyes. She closed them and leaned in. I followed suit, and we connected. For a second it was so unbelievable, and then it just was. The happiest moment in my life. We pulled away from one another and smiled. Are you crying? I wiped the tears away. Maybe. It's just a huge relief. It's a great pressure that's been lifted off my shoulders. One I've been carrying around for so long because I was so scared of what you might say or how you might react. And to know that you like me too is not the answer I expected, honestly. She wiped my eyes with her sleeve. Well, I'm glad I could put a smile on your face. Thank you, she said. I should be the one thanking you, I said, smiling even harder. Yeah, but seeing you happy like this makes me happy. She hugged me even harder. I responded in kind. And then, suddenly, I could feel her pulling herself away from me, but still gripping my hand tighter than ever before, trying to pull me up to my feet. Charlie, there's something over there, she shouted, with an outstretched arm, pointing towards the darkness. I turned my sight over towards the direction she pointed, and could only make out green eyes. Tabitha yanked on my hand and wouldn't let go as she tried to pull me away. Charlie, we need to run! But I couldn't remove my eyes. They were transfixed on this pair of green eyes that were so mysterious. I couldn't move my body. I was paralyzed in place. I could feel its presence envelop me and take over. My movements were no longer mine. I had no control whatsoever. Tabitha screamed for me and kept screaming until her voice went completely silent. The next thing I was seeing was my hands wrapped around Tabitha's throat, squeezing the very life out of her. I could do nothing but watch. I could feel her pulse in my hand growing slower and slower till there was nothing. I could see the light, the goodness that was Tabitha. Leave her eyes. I felt as if I was sitting in a theater, chained down, watching everything that I did on the big screen. But I could feel it all, and I had zero control. I screamed to the top of my lungs in pain and horror at what I was witnessing, and then my POV had changed. I was no longer looking at Tabitha, but back towards the darkness from which the evil had birthed. And now, there were so many more green eyes.
My legion.
Dozens moved past me and proceeded to the party that was taking place.
Nice skin, Charlie. I think we're gonna be great together.
The evil spoke. What? The evil then cackled at me.
You have questions. They will be answered in due time. But I have a job to attend to, and I need you to do it. So sit there and enjoy the show.
The beast was in control. It took me through the cave back to the party, where everyone was still partying. I couldn't believe what was happening. Tabitha. Tab. She was gone. Dead. By my hands. Literally.
You'll come around, Charlie. They all do. Eventually, they even become one of us. You will.
The beast said with certainty. The music blared loudly as we moved amongst the crowd. The dubstep was almost disorienting when mashed together with everything else that was happening. Then, our gaze was transfixed on Carly. No! Please, God, no! I shouted to the top of my lungs.
Well, looks like she's having a good old time with Tate the Jock.
Carly and Tate were locked in a kiss that disgusted me. I felt the barf in my throat.
That's not cool, is it, Charlie?
Please don't hurt her. The beast laughed again.
Not to worry. She'll be one of us as well.
I could see a pair of green eyes dart across the crowd like a specter and possess Carly. You evil bastards! Why are you doing this? I shouted.
All in due time, Charlie.
I then saw several other pairs of eyes begin to possess people throughout the party.
It's time. You should count yourself lucky, Charlie. You could have been one of the sheep.
The beast said.
Now we enjoyed this replay of truly gruesome, albeit very beautiful events.
The beast narrated the memory that I had just lived. The events began to speed up as I saw people were being controlled, just like myself. They began to rip into the flesh of others. I could feel my teeth sink into the flesh of my friends. My fingers dig in. My hands pull apart bodies. I had a strength that was not that of a normal man. It was almost supernatural. Maybe it was. I couldn't close my eyes as much as I wanted to. I was forced to watch everything. And then all of a sudden, I was back in control. But I was back in the woods. What the hell? What have I done? Tears began to fall down my cheeks. No. This isn't happening. That didn't just happen. Oh my God. Tabitha. I could feel the beast standing over me, staring at me from above, drilling holes into the back of my head.
I gave Tabitha a quick death, less painful than the rest. You should be thanking me.
Go to hell, you fucking bastard! I shouted.
Been there once or twice. Not really my kind of place. The food sucks. But here, on this earth, it's special. Stands out from the rest.
The beast explained. What the hell are you? I asked. It laughed at me again.
You know, if I told you, then there wouldn't be much mystery in our relationship. In all good relationships need some mystery if they're gonna last. But I suppose I can give you my name. It's Impious Alton, or how you would say, the Wicked One.
I shuddered with chills. Goosebumps. What the hell was going on?
This will be a journey you will come to thank me for in the coming years, Charlie.
The beast spoke. I looked up from the dirt beneath my knees, stared him in the eyes, and whispered without even realizing,